Meanwhile, Brett Jackson is here, CEO of Systemax. All right, it's twofold, two missions, two companies. We've talked a little about it. I need it from your perspective. Describe each company and which one was here first, and do you ever see additional offshoots?
Well, the material management portion was here first.
Sure.
And through doing material management, through seeing people's brochures, who they just quite frankly did a poor job, we felt that there was a need to build out the creative services department. So it was because of seeing what our customers wanted and needed, coming up with a solution for a problem, that we spun off the creative services department. So we see both of them being very relevant for the future, because all businesses need to either operate more efficiently, or they need to make more money. And the hope is that we can save them enough money that they can reallocate those funds to marketing, and that generates sales. In reference to other companies, I've already got two others in the works.
You do?
Not necessarily related to Systemax,
okay.
But I certainly think that we're going to keep evaluating what's going on in the world and keep coming up with solutions. I think that's what we do, is come up with ideas.
That's the second day in a row. Yesterday I was at the Mid-America Advertising and talked with the Sangamon CEO stuff, and they have two sponsors, and two of these guys are entrepreneurs. They are thinkers. One guy was a business professor at U of I and has worked with foreign countries, Malaysia, and so on and so forth. You're right in that realm. Did they have people like you that thought like that in my generation?
I think so. I mean, that's where all these businesses come from, is people keep coming up with solutions to problems. I mean, Henry Ford came up with the car when everyone thought they just needed a horse. He came up with a different way of doing it. The telephone, the internet. I mean, people keep coming up with different ways of operating and hopefully solving people's problems. So, yeah, I think that it will always be there.
So Brett Jackson, tell me about yourself. If you come up with an idea and they say, no, that isn't going to work. No, that didn't. How often do you hear that, and does that challenge you? Or depending upon who's saying it, how much does that weigh into the equation?
If I respect their opinion and I feel like they've got a good background on business and understanding the world, I certainly take it into account. But I quite frankly love when people say that you're crazy, you don't know what you're talking about, you're too short, you're too ugly, whatever it may be. I like that challenge, and I like proving people wrong. I think that's what drives me every day, is that I want to win. And if I feel like I've got a better solution, or we've got a team who can execute on something better, we're going to go kick everybody else's rear end.
Were you competitive in school?
No, I was a horrible student. I really didn't play many sports, and so...
Did you get a lot of participation ribbons?
No, I didn't, because I didn't participate in anything. I wasn't even good enough to get one of those ribbons. So I didn't, I don't think that our generation had that.
Okay.
But I think once I saw what was happening in the world, and I felt like, all right, this is what I can do, that's what made me competitive, because I just want to kind of beat myself. I feel like that I'm my own competition.
I hope we can do this. If I can't, you tell me. I'm looking at the board and two of your clients. What'd you do for O'Shea Builders, who one of my favorite people? All the folks out there are great people, Mike and everybody at Harold O'Shea Builders. What'd you do for O'Shea Builders?
We helped them with one of their trade show concepts. So they said, we're going to be exhibiting at this type of conference. We need help coming up with a way to drive traffic to our booth. What will our booth look like? What kind of activities will we have? And so we came up with those concepts. We started pre-marketing it before the conference to drive people to have conversations, and they said they had one of their most successful conferences ever. So that's one of the things that we can do. We just want to help people market their business and be more successful that way.
What did you do for Troxel?
We met with them to help refresh and recreate their brand. And so we started with having concepts of where they want to go in the future, what they stand for, what their organization is about when it comes to core values. And then we crafted a new logo, then helped deploy that logo out to all of their collateral, their folders, their envelopes, and now all of their sales collateral, and how they're going to market their business to the different product lines, the what they call spear teams that they focus on, whether it's schools or it's construction, helping them craft that marketing plan out and execute it.
Define branding. I'm hearing that When did that phrase come into vogue? I hear a lot of it in the last 5 to 10 years, and maybe it's been around forever. What does it mean from your perspective?
I think it originally started with, like even just cattle and people branding cattle so that when they took it to market, people could you could represent that, look, we fed our cattle properly and we could identify that this is our product. And that's really what it is still today. It's a way to recognize your product line and differentiate you from someone else. So it makes you look and feel differently. People can then recognize the quality of service that you provide, but it doesn't just go to the logo that you see. It's all the senses. So I'm sure that you hang out at Abercrombie & Fitch in the mall, but when you walk in there and you see the naked people standing outside and you smell all the cologne and the way that they've got the whole store merchandised, that's their brand. It's when somebody calls in on the phone, when somebody is answering an email, it's the way that you write your communication all represents your brand, and that then allows people to recognize, okay, this is the type of company I want to do business with, or this is what they stand for. So when you think about McDonald's, they've done, although you may not agree with their food practices, you can't argue that they've done a great job of branding, and that when you see those golden arches, exactly what it is. Or when you see a Target commercial on TV, they don't even say it's Target until the very end, but that's a Target commercial based on the way they've shot it, the colors they use, the white backgrounds. It's a way to recognize that company much faster, and then it sticks in your gut and in your heart. Like, you get emotionally attached to these things.
Why are you more, and I know you are, I've been here twice, I listen to the passion, I see your people, I talk to people. People say, well, they're just an advertising agency. You contact them and they'll run your advertising. You're more than that.
I think at the core of what we do is we love business, and we want to make businesses more successful. And I think a benefit is that we run a business, a sales organization. When you look at like our material management side, we've grown a nationwide company. And then when you start looking at someone's marketing and advertising and why they want to do that, we've got real life practical knowledge of how to manage inventory and deal with cash flow issues and just dealing with culture and the challenges within an office space, that when you start rolling out a new brand, there's so many people who are fighting that they don't want change, and we can help people navigate that internally to have a more successful rollout. So yes, we can come up with pretty pictures, but I think it's the real-life business knowledge that we have of how to execute this strategy, this campaign, that will make it work more effectively internally and externally. And we can help kind of see around corners that when we know that someone is going to have problems, we can point that out and say, you're going to run into this person being a naysayer. Here's some ways to get them involved, get them engaged, and they could be an advocate for this change where maybe they would have tried to poo-poo it in the past.
So if somebody comes to you, you may say, we suggest you do this platform, that platform. We suggest you do some billboards, you do some radio, and so on and so forth. You will pinpoint what direction you think they should go to get their message across.
Exactly. We had a customer in 2 weeks ago that we were coming up with their marketing strategy for 2017. Uh-huh. One of the things that we did was we built a persona for who is the ideal person to market to for this product line. And so we went through and said, all right, is it a male or female? What's their age? What things do they do for fun? How many kids do they have? What are their activities? Where do they go eat on the weekend? What radio station, what music do they listen to? We literally named that person. I think it was Janet or something. And so then once we have this person, this fictitious person that you can now see what they do on a daily basis, now we can start seeing, well, how do we get to that person? How do we get their attention? We can't market to someone. I don't care how good your business is. If you can't get someone's attention, you can't tell your story. So we have to know where Janet is. How do we get her attention? Is it on Facebook? Is she sitting at home watching Housewives of wherever, looking at Facebook too? That's how we get her. That's how we get her attention, and then we drive her to our organization. But we're not dependent. We don't own a radio station, but a lot of times radio is a very good option. I mean, why are we here? Why would we even be on this show if we didn't think that radio was a good option for our ideal customer base?
Great call, man. Thanks.
So,
no, I
appreciate
it. Do you ever do political campaigns?
we've really stayed away from all the political
stuff. I think you got
stuff.
the answers.
I think that we could do a really good and effective job for people if they're willing to embrace how that would work. I'm just really leery of it.
I understand. Thank you so much for having us here. I really enjoyed it. I walk out here every time more impressed, more amazed. I'm not sure I'm any smarter, but I appreciate what you folks do. Beautiful place. Thanks.
Thank you.